on this time, breaking down the stories every view will unwind. From left to right we'll see the light. It's balance we're chasing, no fighters fight. Good is still be talking it straight. Let's hear both sides, let's communicate. Politics and reason, let's find the truth. Good is still be here to bridge it for you. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Good is still be keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis. So be the combos you need. The combos you need. Insights, it's on the screen. Curtis, I'll be keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis. I'll be the convo's unique. Curtis, I'll be talking it straight. Let's hear both sides, let's communicate. Politics and reason, let's find the truth. Curtis, I'll be here to bridge it for you. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis, I'll be keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis. So be the combos you need. The combos you need. The combos you need.
Cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war. It is I, Curtis Selby, the voice of Northern Oklahoma and tired midnight blogger, what blogs in this case, at 6:33 p.m. I have returned to part 2 of the Elizabeth Warren expose, and therefore the title is, So What? What's the big deal? So she's a Democrat, they lost power, of course they're going to be whiny. Not the voters, the ones at the top. Remember, we love the voters. The voters are our brethren, our fellow citizens. The ones at the top, we shall see what they are by the end of this podcast. Let's say hello to everyone in the chat. I'm liking this icon so much, I may just keep it for a while. It's one of my favorite comic book characters that sadly didn't get treated very well by DC Comics. Let's say hello to everyone in the chat and then dive into the topic as we fight the fire demons. Applaud, Tony Cleary, glory to you and your house. Hey, Darkwoods, and he still writes good books, making really great content. Check out Darkwoods, and while you're at it, check out Tony Cleary. If Darkwood stuff is too dark for you, then you can have a palate cleanse by the beautiful birds and soft Indian music of Bonnie Cleary. Or if you get too much of the birds, you can go back to Darkwood. JPRPH1, woohoo! He has had a difficult weekend playing the music. The guy is a wonderful guitar player, incredibly supportive. He sends me lots of links. Between long days at work and a really bad bout of chronic fatigue yesterday, I have gotten squat done. But fortunately, I had a lot of this planned beforehand, so hopefully we'll do well. But JPRPH1, solid, wonderful human being. Sci-Fi Sith Dan, hail and well met, another person with wonderful content. Go check him out. He's part of the community that I'm having a senior moment. Chronic fatigue sucks. I hate it. Mikey, Susie 4, and Be Yourself Adventures, Jay Aldrich, Gorilla's Censored Thoughts, Moira Kitty, those wonderful folks. Check out Sci-Fi Sith Dan. He's got some wonderful content. Everybody's saying hello to each other. Darkwood says, you get closer to your mic. You sound muffled. Ooh, yes. Is that better? Please let me know if that is better. Sci-Fi Sith Dan, judging how the DCU films, are you ready? Do you really want them to get their hands on my Avatar character? Well, this guy was a DC character, very little known. It took like 30 years for the internet to put up a website that was almost worthy of the character. And Darkwoods, yep, there is his Amazon.com store. Please check out his books. About purchasing one if you're into horror, if you're into it's kind of like Cthulhu with a sense of humor, but not to the extent that it goes too far. All right, I'm going to shut off the music. Maybe that will help the muffling. Please let me know if I still sound muffled. The joys of streaming. The background music is a little loud. I understand. Well, I have shut it off. Let me know if this is better. As we dive into the abyss, we will invade the inferno. And we will fight the horrific creatures of the Dark Lord Diggerth. I used that in a D&D campaign. It was such a wonderful comic book. But things go on. I shall dive into said topic. But now that I have gotten past 8 minutes, I can now say, we shall fight the demon hordes of hell. I wish YouTube would let us just say what we mean. All right. Let's begin with Elizabeth Warren. As you all know, we talked a little bit about her last week, how essentially, that's really not what I wanted, but then, you know what, whatever. I can kind of re-up what I've said before. She started the Spiffy Bureau to protect us from corporate greed after the 2008 housing collapse. Darkwoods gave some personal information. I won't repeat it here, but he gave some personal information about how she is kind of a dodo head. And I hope I backed that up at least a little bit with some of the information that came through, how she got a bunch of money from Big Pharma, even though she denied it. She tried to attack RFK. She tried to paint him into a corner where he could no longer do his livelihood as a lawyer, essentially, after being head of the Health and Human Services. And he was smart enough to call her out on it. You don't want me to sue these vaccination companies after I'm done with my term. No, I do not. That's a good test for my sound. Let me know if that sounded okay. I am still up here, right? Hey, look at that. Okay. Darkwoods, that's better. Like a distance of 4 to 6 inches. I put my pinky against the mic and my thumb against my lip. Okay. So I'm about there. Let me know if this is better. Oh man, I should have lined up an interview with Elizabeth Warren. I need to line up an interview for you guys next week or next Thursday. It's going to be a very special special event. And in fact, let's go into that and then dive into the topic. Haha, because I am organized. Almost paradise. We're looking out on heaven's door. Dar, 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 dar. Here we are. We have a milestone to celebrate, and that's what this Thursday's stream is going to be about. We are up to 706 subscribers. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. And there was much rejoicing. Yay. So we are growing apace, and possibly more importantly, at least for my goal for monetization, we are up to, I would have sworn it showed a higher number this morning, but at the moment it's showing 2,905 watch hours, meaning we are merely 95 watch hours away. So if one of you would just be kind enough to play 95 straight hours of my angry diatribes, I can start making a living on this. Well, actually, no, but I can start earning some money on it. Now that that's out of the way. Dark Woods really likes RFK, as do I. I would love to be slugging through the pits of hell on top of a macabre unicorn-like beast as we fight our way to the dark demon lord of the domain. Yeah, but since I am not cool enough to do that, I will instead run a podcast. Kaplaw! Glory to you, Gorilla Sensor Thoughts, and your house. You have missed almost nothing. I announced that I am 95 watch hours away from monetization. So now that I've got 4 people here, let's see here, 95 divided by 4, carry the 1, multiply by E, divide by pi. So if each of you would just be willing to just play 23 hours and 45 minutes straight of pointless, angsty, tired blogging, I could start earning money at this channel. And Gorillas, let me know if you feel so moved to let me know what vast wealth I can expect by being monetized. I'm sure it will be. It is my goal. I don't mean to poo-poo it. And thank you for reminding me, Dark Woods and I, on March the 1st, we are going to have another interview. This one is going to be about the homeless population, essentially how our government is just doing a craptastic job of dealing with the situation and the things that might be done to help improve the situation, make the lives of the homeless a little more bearable. Darkwood says, and I agree with him 100% on this one, Big Pharma is like straight gangsta, and I don't mean that in a good way. Make America healthy again. You're sounding like the National Extortion Force calculating how much I owe the government. Well, who do you think I learned that from? And it also depends if I find a sugar daddy. I've been looking for a sugar mama. Yes, sirree, I want a sugar mama. I don't know why I'm saying it that way. Okay, so Elizabeth Warren, stay away from me. Elizabeth Warren, just let me be. So she started this spiffy CFPB, and now it's understandable that she would defend it. You know, it's her baby. So let's not completely paint her to be a monster. If I started a bureau in the government, I'm sure I would be very upset with people going after it. Warren states before Elon Musk robs the bank, he's firing all the cops. I don't know if I got to it in the last one, but it has been a criticism of the left. And to me, it is a criticism that we either have to admit to be legitimate, or at least we have to look at it with an air of fairness. Because let's face it, we get upset when the left does stuff like that, when they have conflicts of interest. Of course, in their case, it's usually okay, and everybody turns a blind eye. But I would like to propose that we should be better than that. We should, to an extent, take the moral high ground and actually deal with their criticisms on a good faith level. That doesn't mean we can't counter them, but we need to deal with them on a good faith level, rather than just going, yeah, but you do it too. You do it too. So let's see what she has to say about Elon Musk going after the KUFBA, the Corporation for Public But Screwing. Okay, let's see what this says.
Financial Protection Bureau was founded back.
Oh, wow.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was founded back.
Yeah, that's right. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought it had something to do with, DEI and anal sex. But anyway, here it goes.
In 2011, in the wake of the financial crisis, with the express purpose of protecting consumers. It was proposed and then established by a then little-known Harvard professor named Elizabeth Warren. She was prevented by Republicans from leading the agency, which led pretty directly to her becoming a U.S. senator and the Elizabeth Warren you know today. In the last 14 years, the CFPB has recovered over $20 billion from consumers. But now, Doge champion Elon Musk tweeted, CFPB RIP. I'm joined now by Senator Elizabeth Warren, ranking member of the Banking Committee, who's calling on the Trump administration to, quote, remove members of Elon Musk's Doge from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, end quote, citing the risk of Musk, quote, enriching himself at the expense of American taxpayers through Doge's illegal efforts to dismantle the CFPB, end quote. Senator Warren, good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
I don't know how many years it's been that you and I have been talking about CFPB. I think since before it started.
Yeah.
That's right. They are in bed with each other. Not literally. Good God, I hope not literally. If I were trying to refute this with the leftist strategy, what I would have done would have been to look up the actual numbers, and I would have discovered probably, because I haven't really done it, because I don't want to do it with the left way. I want to do it my way. He did it my way. So what I would do is I would look up and I would discover something like, actually the CFPB only saved consumers $19.9 billion. And then I would come on here and say, see, she's factually wrong. It's slightly less than 20 billion. That means it's all an outright lie. I'm not going to do that because I really don't want to be petty about it. I actually, one, I think we should take a higher road. And two, I don't want to attack them with stupid and illogical and pointless arguments. I want to go to the root of the matter and explain plainly and explicitly why, even if it's true that they've saved $20 billion, Elon Musk, in my opinion, still is legitimately correct to want to dismember this body. Let's go back to the video.
I never understood then, and
I never understood how they could have an affair together. I mean, I know she's into bald men, but I still I couldn't do that. I'm sorry. I just couldn't do that.
I don't understand now. If you want to target the government for waste, fraud, and inefficiency, why would you go after the place that actually has a record, $20 billion or more being...
Oh, I'll explain that. I will explain that. But first, again, let's let them have their say. This is America. Everybody should get to have their say.
Turn to consumers who would not have been able to get that money from predatory companies?
Well, you obviously wouldn't, because this is an agency that is the cop on the beat just to make sure people don't get cheated. And it has really delivered on that. Think about it this way, Allie, when we talk about those numbers, it has found more than $20 billion where these big banks have.
Wait, it's been 30 seconds since she said it, so I don't remember. How much did they save? How much was it again?
Cheated people. And the agency didn't just say, shame on you, don't do it again. It said, you give that money back to the people you cheated and watched them and made them do it. Man, to me, that is government efficiency.
Now, there are a couple of things here. One is obviously you're invested in your work in the Senate and in your work through founding the CFPB.
Okay, I'm going to be just slightly unfair here. So 20 billion, right? And the CFPB came about in 2010. That means that there's 15 years. So we have $20 billion. And my calculator doesn't go up that high. So we'll have to divide that by 15, and then take that times 100. Oh, that my calculator sucks. Anyway, where I'm going with this is, so they've saved us slightly more than $1 billion a year. This sounds impressive, but have we not been hearing recently that all Elon Musk saved us was $8 billion, and that's only a drop in the bucket? And therefore, I mean, and this is the implication, it's not stated, but this is the implication. Since he's only saved us $8 billion, his entire effort is therefore to be denigrated, denied, and delegitimized. If 8 billion saved in 1 month does not make you a legitimate organization, I would suggest 20 billion saved in 15 years does not make you a legitimate organization. I mean, by the same reasoning, by the same logic, they merely saved us a little over $1 billion a year. Why is that relevant and incredible when they do it over the course of 20 years and Elon Musk does roughly 5 times that much in a month, but he is not legitimate? I just want you to think about that. Let's go back to the video.
In the CFPB, but there's a conflict of interest that you and Adam Schiff write about here, with Elon Musk having anything to do with the structuring or restructuring of CFPB. Why?
So here's the story. Remember how Elon Musk bought Twitter, turned it into X, and
oh yes, I remember that, and I thank God every day that he did.
Hemorrhaged buckets of money. Well, he announced, hey, he had another plan.
You know, isn't it funny? The left says he's hemorrhaging buckets of money. He says he's making record profits. Which one are we supposed to believe? I'll just let you think about that.
Plan to make more money. And that is, he would create something called X money. And the idea was, in the same way that X now gets all of your social media information.
Because that makes him evil, because none of the other social media organizations do that. Nor does the government. Everyone else is innocent and as good as the wind-driven snow, whereas Elon Musk is evil and despicable, and his hair is not done right. We must accost him.
you would give them all your financial information and make financial transactions.
Oh no, he could get all my financial information, which I already gave him 5 years ago on PayPal. And he hasn't stolen anything from me. Huh.
On this site. Now, he can do that. He can launch a financial platform. But when he does, he's going to have a cop standing right over his shoulder, just making sure that he follows the law, that he
He's going to have a cop right over his shoulder demanding their bribe and their cut of the profits.
doesn't cheat people, he doesn't trick people, and he doesn't suck up all of their personal information to use it however he wants or sell it wherever he wants. One cop on the beat would be looking over Elon Musk's shoulder, and you know where that cop is going to come from. It's from the CFPB. So
it's real big talking about being the cop when we're reminded that Dan Bongino, who has a decade of actual police force experience, plus a decade of actual Secret Service experience, is not qualified to be the deputy director of the FBI. But, you know, she's a scary big cop. I'm really scared by her.
So,
sad truth is, we actually should be. And I'll tell you why later.
This looks like a really plausible business plan. If you're a bank robber, how about if you get the chance?
Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm willing to cop out and be unfair by throwing ad hominem attacks at her, that's kind of why. Maybe don't call people ad hominem names and we won't throw ad hominem names back at you.
Fire the cops before you waltz into the lobby of the bank. And Elon Musk appears to have decided he will sideline the financial cops before he decides to launch his own personal platform.
His own personal platform. His plan to take your dough. It really blows.
That is why Elon Musk should not be allowed anywhere near the CFPB. It is a clear conflict of interest. And Senator Schiff and I are after this right now. This is fundamentally wrong for him to be doing this.
Here's the problem with all of the dismantling. In fact, it's the same thing with what Donald Trump said about.
Because you know what? The reporter has to let us know that what the senator said not only is true, but it's not even adequate. It's not even enough to tell us that it's bad and we need to preserve the CFPB. The entire thing is wrong and bad. The entire concept of Doge, closing down any departments. We don't care what USAID did. It's wrong that it was closed down. This is why MSNBC's ratings are getting down to almost tired blogger levels of viewers. We don't want reporters telling us how to think. And I'll admit, I may be in danger of doing a little too much of that in this post, but we don't want reporters telling us how to think. You got Senator Warren there. That's her job, right? Right?
Ukraine today. When systems work in the background, like our international world order or our governmental.
Oh, he outed himself. The international world order. That's what's important. It's not America first. It's the international world order first.
Systems like CFPB, people don't know that they work. They don't necessarily get it. So how do you advance from a letter from you and Adam Schiff into creating enough of a stir that people fight?
Because, you know, I can't trust Elizabeth Warren to actually do her own speaking. So I'm going to explain to the American people, because I'm a reporter. That's my job, not reporting news, telling them how to think. I'm going to explain to them that, you know, it's really not that CFPB did anything wrong or anything bad or anything worthy of being dismantled. No. It's all a marketing problem. If we, you know, Elizabeth, if you had just paid a little more into their budget, maybe like take about 2 or 3 billion of that 20 that you saved America. And instead of putting it back into the hands of the citizens, because you did that, right? I mean, we're sure you did that. We'll take their word for it. But keep back 2 or 3 billion of it, because it's really none of America's business what that money spent on. Take that money and get good marketing. Maybe let's put out a Super Bowl ad. CFPB, protecting you little morons because you can't think for yourselves.
Fight back and say, you can't take these things away that actually work. Everybody wants government to be more efficient. There's no question about that.
Is there? Is there really no question about that? Okay.
So, you put your finger on it, and that is, you got to
See, I told you they were in bed together. He put his finger on it.
create the stir. People have to remember why this agency works for them. That $21 billion went back into their
Oh, it went up $1 billion. Ooh, we've only been in this interview for 4 minutes and it went up $1 billion. I take it back. She's great.
pockets right now. More than 6.5 million people have filed complaints with the CFPB and gotten help from that agency. That CFPB is very popular among Democrats, Republicans, independents, because they recognize.
And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I was thinking it was a good thing until I started doing research for this post. So I would suggest that maybe it wasn't bad marketing. I will give you the payoff. I promise. Just stay patient. Stay patient.
Having a cop on the beat keeps the playing field level, and that's what they want to see. Last week, we had Jerome Powell, the head of the Fed, in for testimony before the Banking Committee, and I just asked him flat out. I said, with the CFPB sidelined, who is out there? Who's the one watching to make sure you don't get cheated on any of your financial products? And his answer was
that the tired blogger, whenever he thinks of someone protecting the American people from predatory big businessmen, it's that Powell guy at the Fed. That's who I think about. Yeah. Okay, what was his answer?
Nobody. There's nobody there. So that means for anybody who's listening to this,
there's nobody there if we close down the CFPB. My conservative friend and I were talking about this today. We were talking about how the Secret Service agency has like a dual purpose, and that's been one of the problems. Like, we think that its sole purpose is to protect the president and other, important government people, but actually they have a great big deal to do with money laundering and helping old man out with counterfeiting. So we're going to disregard the Secret Service because, I'm pretty sure those two things don't count as protecting American citizens with their money. We're going to disregard the FDIC, which protects $200,000 of your deposits. We're going to disregard that. We're going to disregard the FBI. And granted, I may be a little disingenuous here because I have my issues with the FBI, but I would suggest that it is part of their job to stop big money fraud. Am I wrong? Doesn't anyone else remember big cases in the 80s of fraud being prosecuted by the FBI? CIA, at least in theory, is keeping terrorists from getting their hands on our money. Again, I have issues with the CIA, but here's the deal. When it comes to the FBI and the CIA, it's like the difference between Elizabeth Warren and the voters at the groundswell level. The CIA agent and the FBI agent at the ground level is probably a pretty swell person. They probably read some comic books or watched some cop shows and thought, you know what, I'm going to help people. And they go into the job and they bust their ass and they make arrests and they protect us. But then somehow the ones that get to the top, somehow those aren't the same kind of people. Like the Democrats who voted for Kamala Harris, they actually do want good things. They were hoping for good things. And I think at least some of them are attempting to look at this whole Trump thing with an eye of objectivity. And God bless those that do. And I welcome all of them, even the ones that don't, to this channel as long as they're respectful. But you're telling me that this Warren guy, who's the head of the Fed, and I'm just going to leave my opinion of the Fed out of it for the moment, nobody's protecting you if this one department goes down. I call BS on that. I'm sorry.
Yes. If you have a credit card, a checking account, a savings account, you have a mortgage, you have a car loan, you have a student loan, you use Venmo or any of the other online platforms, just understand, maybe you won't get cheated. But the cops have all been told, leave the field. That's what Elon Musk has done. And I think that's pretty alarming. And all of us need to push back on this. We want our financial cops back on the beat.
Okay. So I really didn't give her say. I mean, I gave her her say, but then I eviscerated her in the middle of it. So, again, I'm being a little bit unfair. I'll be a little more fair here in two shakes. Let's get caught up on the chat. God, you are such wonderful people. Okay. So much chat while I've been just running my gums off. Okay, Darkwoods. Yes, if a woman can want a rich man, we can want a rich woman. That's equality, baby. And it's just as easy to love a rich woman as it is to love a poor woman. The woman I'm dating will probably listen to this one today. Oh, Curtis, you big dumb dodo, you work through. Sorry. I am kidding. I don't really mean any of that. Darkwoods, Liz is a monster. I met her in person. She slapped me. And I wish I could verify that. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I would love to see like video or something. But anyway, Big Al Presents. Hello. Welcome. This wonderful gentleman, he also makes wonderful content. He does the legendary 10-word review. I think he does a great job with his review. He doesn't get into the politics of it. He just lets you know if he likes the dang movie or not. Simple as that. It's really great. And he also does some wonderful movie presentations, I believe every Saturday. I hope I'm right on this. You would think I would know by now, but Big Al and Netter, two wonderful people that they trade off each other's channels. One week it's him, one week it's her, but they co-host Films with Friends. And quite often it's a movie that I've wanted to see all my life and never got to. And I get to watch it with this wonderful community. So please check him out. Darkwoods, they do nothing in the CFPB. I've never even heard of it. Well, I'll be blunt. I mean, I think I'd heard of it, but I really hadn't heard much, just little details of Obama put this thing together and he's going to make sure that the 2008 doesn't happen again. And then I never heard a damn thing about it again until recently. Darkwoods has the question. Please tell me, anyone until Doge, did anyone here know about the CFPB? And when I say I knew about it, I'm just saying that I had heard of the term and I had heard some vague things back then about it being formed. But that's it. That was the sum total of it. Which begs the question, why are you coming to me for information? Well, I do some research. I finally get some crap figured out, hopefully before the blog post. How much do they cost to run? Where are their offices? How do you make a claim? Do they even have a website? I'm tempted to look for that website, but I'll tell you what, you have a wrench. If you find it, please post it in the chat and we'll take a look at it. She's hemorrhaging just talking about him. He has a top secret clearance. He makes rockets for the government. It's not that hard to consider him as vetted. They think we are stupid. And Gorilla Central Thoughts, what the crap is she going on about? Well, okay, so I'm actually not going to be snarky about this. I'm going to try to be a little more legitimate than I was listening to her diatribe. Since Elon Musk was, according to her, thinking about doing some spiffy economics, banky type stuff with something called X money, I haven't heard about it, but that doesn't mean anything. She's very, very possibly correct on this. But if he did that, it would be very technically a conflict of interest to try to dismantle the CFPB, which was put together in 2010 by Obama with her as the head. And I can't remember the reasons now, but there were reasons why. So, like, she wasn't approved by the Senate. She was just stuck in there. And then Republicans rattled about that. So Obama removed her, put in some other guy, and she was elected to the Senate, and everyone lived happily ever after. And you were there in Oz, and you were there in Oz, and you were a Nazi. Darkwoods presents, he has a top secret security clearance because he makes rockets for the government. Again, absolutely. Gorilla Censored Thoughts has been censored. We are on edge, wondering. This is becoming just kind of a part of the blog. It's like, what did Gorillas get censored for today? I need to make a little clip for it. Gorilla's censored thought of the day. Yes. All I said was Chief Running Bull needs to be given a blanket. Oh, that's tasteless. That's tasteless. It's funny, but it is tasteless. And what few Native American friends I had are probably now plotting my untimely demise. But I'm sorry, it was kind of funny. Gorillas can say it because he is Native American. Well, God bless you, sir. Liz, who protects the American public from you? Curtis forgot about the chat. No, I didn't. I was just trying to get through the video, and then I'm trying to do a better job of taking care of a thing, a segment or whatever, and then doing the chat, because I have gotten constructive criticism from people that sometimes it's a little disconcerting when you're listening to this podcast while you're driving. I'm talking about a topic. Oh, hey, by the way, this person over here is wonderful. And yeah, so I'm trying to do better at that. Maybe not doing the best job. Just let me know. Liz ordered the cameras to be turned off first. I don't doubt that. Those kind of bullies do those kind of things. Why isn't it illegal for women to hit men? I actually believe that it is. It's just not often enforced. And I look, I won't get into the topic, not to be disrespectful, but I don't want to get sidelined from the topic of Liz Warren, CFPB, and why it matters, and why Elon Musk is not wrong to go after it. He may be wrong about some other stuff, but I don't think he's wrong to go after the CFPB. Hail Jeff B. Hail and well met. Another wonderful content creator. Go check him out. You will be pleased. Oh, hey, consumerfinance.gov. Let's take a quick look. Maybe. I started to, what? Oh, the page is not found because, I believe Elon Musk took it down. So, but they did have a website. Let's share this just so you can see what I'm seeing. Either that or my software isn't letting it come through. We can't find the page you're looking for. Visit our homepage for helpful tools and resources. So here we go. It had consumer education, rules and policy enforcement. And I'll be honest, having some consumer education stuff, that was actually a good thing. Enforcement compliance. I kind of, in a way, do wish I'd known about this, although we really wouldn't have prevented much of anything from my life because I don't think I was big enough. I don't think I or the people who were harming me when I was broke were big enough fish for these people to fry. Contact us, careers. I say we all apply out there. Industry whistleblowers. They had a site. Now they don't. So, people saying hi. Check out Sci-Fi Mombi. I promise someday I'm going to actually play with my stream elements. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but it's only illegal if you're caught and leave marks. That does seem to be the way things go. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. No content, but 23 subs. Go figure. In a room full of law enforcement inside the state capitol. Yeah. I hear you. Hello, PvP of Canada. Thank you very much for coming on. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about the wondrous Elizabeth Warren. This is a lame joke. Hopefully it won't be taken in bad taste. And if it is, I apologize. But we've decided that since Canada doesn't want to be the 51st state, we're going to trade Elizabeth Warren to you. You guys can give us Trudeau. We'll see who got the better end of the deal at the end of it. Nowadays, it has to be on camera. Yeah, if it's not on camera, for all intents and purposes, it didn't really happen. And PvP, I believe you're a creator as well. I'm just tired enough to be stupid. I had a terrible bout last night. I'm not wanting to whine about it. I'm just trying to let you know that the level of not greatness that my mind is often at could be at an even worse scale today. Hail PvP, good luck on the upcoming election. Oh, is PvP running for prime minister? If it is, I say we all go to Canada and vote for him. If it's good for the Democrats here in America, it should be good up in Canada. PvP, you're such a good Joe. He takes it in exactly the vein it was intended. You can have Trudeau. And I know, yeah, we all need good luck in these elections, all of them. LDG at Free the Net, another wonderful creator. I saw your tweet, or whatever they call them nowadays. I saw your tweet today, and if I'm understanding correctly, you're even closer. You're even closer. So please support this gentleman, and even if it's only to go to his site and check out what he's doing. He is developing an app. I need to look into it more. I've just been running at work and then trying to cough out some random and possibly silly posts. But hopefully this one has so far been entertaining, if not informative, and I'm hoping to get to the informative stuff soon. LDG, yes, I am. Great news this week. So it's coming up or has already come. Don't let me steal your thunder, because however you're wanting to announce it, I don't want to take it from you, but I do want to celebrate with you, if that makes any sense. Maybe it doesn't. Hard work really starting to super pay off. Excellent. The good guys won this time. You know, I wonder if I can find I probably can't find it. Nope. No, it's not doing what I wanted to do. Okay, never mind. It's coming. It's coming. And Darkwoods, no offense meant to PvP Canadians. Oh wow, I don't even know I want to read this. I'll read it, but I don't know. I'm not saying that this is truth, but this is Darkwood's opinion. Canadians are mostly rude to tourists and in general to America. Darkwood says he won't ever take trips to Canada again. I'm going to be a little wishy-washy about this one, Darkwoods, only because I have so many Canadians in my audience and I love those guys, but I've never been to Canada, so you may be right and I may be crazy, and it just may be a lunatic you're looking for. All right, let's go to the next thing. Again, I'm going to I'll try to be a little more centrist with this one, but I was having so much fun roasting her, and I almost forgot, before I get there, FKHC 2005, the one that they sometimes call Tim. From what I've heard, the French are the same. Red Rum. And DWP Mustard, been in the French speaking part. Okay. All right, let's read some more of what this is. A more centrist site. And so when I read this, I actually was starting to think that maybe this time I had fallen in on the wrong side of the argument. The Hill is actually one of my favorite news sources. I don't know that they're objective, but they give respect to the libertarian view. And while I'm not a libertarian, I respect it. And so anyone that respects that view is cool in my books. We're about to get annihilated. Musk Doge descend on the Consumer Bureau. The Trump administration is moving rapidly to gut the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, halting the agency's work, cutting off its funding, and shutting down its headquarters. The push is not unlike the effort launched in the early years of President Trump's first term to defang the agency, which has faced staunch opposition from Republicans throughout its brief existence. Here we have a video playing. I'm not going to play it, but basically the Democrats are saying that Elon Musk is a big dumbhead nom nom. However, as Elon Musk's Department of Governmental Efficiency sweeps into one agency after another with the directive to slash wide swaths of government funding, the new assault on the CFPB has sparked concerns from consumer advocacy groups and Democratic lawmakers about just how far the administration will go this time. Now, once again, I want to separate my thoughts about groundswell people, groundswell boots on the ground investigators, and the big wigs. I do not doubt that the average Democrat watching the news has got some concerns that easily could be legitimate. I don't doubt that there are agents that are investigating this that may have some legitimate leads or may have some legitimate things going on. But Elizabeth Warren, in my opinion, is right out. And again, I will show you what the punchline is eventually. You have to watch and listen to the end. As Elon Musk's department sweeps from one agency to another, people have decided that Elon Musk is a big dodo head. I think everyone assumes this is the USAID playbook. And I think everyone's operating off the assumption that we're about to get annihilated the way that they were annihilated, a CFPB employee told The Hill, referring to the U.S. Agency for International Development. I also felt like they were right out. The moves of the CFPB have drawn parallels with USAID, where staff were also told to stay out of headquarters and cease work before the Trump administration attempted to place thousands of employees on administrative leave. The effort was put on hold by a federal judge Friday night. It was the Friday night special. There is precedent for certain action for certain ways in which they took CFPB off the beat during the first Trump administration, said Graham Steele, former Assistant Secretary of Financial Institutions at the U.S. Treasury under former President Biden. The idea of trying to basically shut the agency down in all but name is a step further, he added. It's an escalation. The Trump administration launched its blitz attack on the agency over the weekend, shortly after newly confirmed Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Voigt was appointed acting CFPB director on Friday. He took the place of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who had been named acting director just days earlier. Bessent had reportedly directed staff to halt work on enforcement actions, rulemaking, and litigation. Voigt similarly ordered employees to cease all supervision and examination activity and stakeholder engagement Saturday, according to the Washington Post. That same day, he announced he would not take its next drawdown of funding from the Federal Reserve. The Bureau's current balance of $711.6 million is in fact excessive in the current fiscal environment, Voigt wrote in a post on the social platform X. This spigot, long contributing to CFPB's unaccountability, is now being turned off. Now, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this totally, but if I'm a left-winger reading this, my thought is, well, we're paying in $711.6 million, but we have saved citizens a little bit over $1 billion a year. So, in theory, from a certain point of view, as Ben Kenobi would say, there is a profit going on here. So, again, if I'm a Democrat, if I'm a liberal, or even if I'm just a centrist who's only reading 2 or 3 sources, this looks and sounds really bad. Elon Musk has got a conflict of interest, which I'm not even going to try to deny here. I have a totally other point that I'm going to go to, and then if we want to, we can discuss conflicts of interest later. But after Thursday, because Thursday is going to be not about politics, but about celebrating the milestones of the channel. And we have a bureau here that, in effect, is saving American citizens more money than it's losing, and better yet, is taking that money from the bad guys. It's a veritable Robin Hood. He robbed from the rich and he gave to the poor, stood up to the man and she gave it what for. Our love for Warren ain't hard to explain. The hero of Washington, the gal they call Jane. The agency's chief operating officer, Adam Martinez, reportedly told staff Sunday that its headquarters would be closed for the week. On Monday, Voigt ordered employees to stand down from performing any work task. The CFPB's X account has since been deleted. The homepage, which Darkwood just shared with us, shows a note that says 404 page not found, although the site remains functional. Wow. Okay. Look, here's the evil Donald Trump. Do you see him giving a speech? I'm sure he's purporting all of his Marxist and Nazi ways. Employees affiliated with Musk's Doge have also gained access to CFPB's data systems, according to Bloomberg News. After all, a judge did restrict them from looking into the Treasury Department, but they didn't say anything about CFPB, at least not at that time. Despite initially receiving limited access, they now have access to the full scope of information stored at the agency, including sensitive bank examination and enforcement records. Again, totally different from PayPal. Senator Elizabeth Warren, the top Democrat on the Senate Banking Committee, slammed Musk and Voigt in a video posted to X on Monday for attempting to kill the CFPB, calling it another scam. So why are these two guys trying to gut the CFPB? Warren asked. It's not rocket science. Trump campaigned on helping working people, but now that he's in charge, this is the payoff to the rich guys who invested in his campaign and who want to cheat families and not have anybody around to stop them. Representative Maxine Waters, I have a poster of her up in my bedroom, ranking member of the House Financial Services Committee, took aim at Musk in particular. Why the richest man in the world is working to gut the agency that has returned $21 billion to harmed American consumers is simple, she said in a statement Saturday. She pointed to the billions of dollars worth of government contracts held by Musk's companies, as well as his plans to turn X, which he owns, into a digital payment platform. Such a platform would be regulated by, you guessed it, the CFPB, Waters said. So in addition to having access to the consumer data of millions of Americans, Musk can now illegally steal sensitive business information about other American companies in the same industry. It doesn't get any more corrupt and anti-American than that, and I can't help it. I'm just a human being. I'm not a saint. I said I would be fair about this one, but I'm going to point out who is not Twitter, but who is X? In other words, the space rocket agency. Who is that biggest competitor? Well, that would be Boeing and Lockheed Martin. Who has paid crap tons of money into all of these people's campaigns? I'll let you do your own thinking on this one. Musk's large network of companies, including Tesla, SpaceX, and X, have increasingly raised questions about conflicts of interest, particularly as his Doge team burrows into every part of the executive branch. Doge-affiliated employees have rapidly moved from one agency to the next with a focus on gaining access to technological infrastructure. Now, I'm going to nail you on this one, Hill. Now you are the ones doing the speculating. I'm not saying that that isn't a slightly reasonable thing to say, but you've gone away from reporting once you've said that. Almost all the rest of this was actual reporting. So-and-so said, so-and-so did. This is what happened. That's what's going on. But when you say Doge affiliated employees have a focus on gaining access to technological infrastructure, while that easily may be true, that you've stepped over, you're no longer reporting, you're telling. And unless you have a source like Doge insiders say, or Elon Musk says, or even, these Congress people were quoted as saying that that's his focus, that would be reporting. This is telling us what to think. And I'm not going to write off the hill for one mistake, but that's the same mistake all the other people are making that are causing us to stop trusting them. So I know no one at the Hill is listening to this, but if there is, please don't do that kind of crap. Just report. We'll do our own thinking. I'm okay with Democrats having the thought, well, the reason why he's doing this is because he wants the access to the technological infrastructure. I get that. That may be true, but it's not the reporters' jobs to tell us that. It's our jobs to figure that out with the information you give us and our intelligence. Please don't make me regret liking you. At the Treasury Department, Doge staff received access to a sensitive federal payment system, sparking outcry from Democrats and prompting several lawsuits. A federal judge ultimately blocked Musk and his Doge team from accessing the system late Sunday. This was written, when was this written? The 11th. So I know I'm running a little bit behind, but it took me a while, one, to find the information out, and two, to piece together what's going on. I'll let you guys read the rest of it if you want to. Essentially, the long and the short of this article, which is, I think, really well written, except for that one instance. The Democrats are scared that Elon Musk is a big dodo head. They might have some points. These are the pieces of evidence. And we need to look into it deeper. And we will a little bit. But I'm going to be blunt. I'm not looking into Musk's conflict of interest right now because I found something else that I think, at least in my eyes, counterbalances any conflict of interest he's got. And before you get mad at me, don't forget, January 6th justified a whole slew of bad behavior. I think I can be forgiven for this one slight piece of whatever you call it. Skullduggery. Okay, let's get caught up on the chat. God, you guys are so wonderful. So much stuff. Dark Woods doesn't hate Canadians, and I didn't mean to call you out. I just want to not necessarily be. I don't really necessarily want to anger Canadians when there's so many of them. To quote one of my liberal friends, I pander to my audience. So anyway, Dark Woods does think, though, that they should be respectful to their neighbors, grateful for what we provide to them, like being their missile defense that costs a large chunk of money. PvP, Trudeau. Oh, I love Trudeau. Trudeau keeps sinking to new lows. This past week, Liberals kicked Ruby Dahl from the leadership race after taking $300,000 entrance fee that her constituents sent her. Ugh, yuck. Jeff B. confiscating seems to be Trudeau's go-to move. Well, he learned it from the best. PvP, lived here all my life. I've never heard anyone in public place say negative things about Americans. That's my honest perspective. Tim, nope, he's a dodo head. Big dodo head, big dodo head, big dodo head, big dodo head. Elon is a dodo head. Elon's the big dodo head, big dodo head, big dodo head, big dodo head, big dodo head. Dark Woods, they ganged up on me in public when I tried to ask them questions, saying that I was an American. As a rally cry to mob haze me, the Canadian police had to stop the mob. I got into 2 fights. That's terrible. Hey, Suzanne, welcome. Oh, Suzanne, don't you cry for me. I'm going to Louisiana with a banjo on my knee. One of the wonderful wrenches out here, such a kind and caring person. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that some of this you find entertaining and maybe possibly informative. Darkwoods presents, this was Niagara Falls, the largest tourist destination in Canada. I really doubt that they would have been successful even if everyone in the place tried to assault me at once. I understand. PvP, if you're referring to things like those rude hockey fans booing the American anthem, many Canadians were disgusted by their behavior. Yeah, no, and I understand that. And I would have been disgusted if Americans, and there may have been, I didn't watch the thing, but if Americans booed the Canadian anthem, that was not cool either. Darkwoods, no, this was over 20 years ago. PvP, gotcha. Gorilla Central Thoughts, got to join Thursdays for Firefly. Damn it. I may not make it because I've got to finish this. I've got to get to the punchline, and I'm almost there. I've got an article and a video, and then one more video, and then I'm going to call it a stream. so that people can either go watch Firefly at your channel or whatever channel y'all want to go to. There's a lot of great streamers on Tuesday. I'm kind of half thinking about moving to Mondays, but then there's great streamers on Mondays. So DWP got to take off the U.S. hockey jersey and go incognito. Tim is applauding me after, I don't know which little song it was because I'm kind of just singing all over the place. But PvP, what kind of questions were you asking? I don't have any context to what you are saying. Dark Woods, I'm a hard man to beat in a fight. Wrestling, boxing, Krav Maga. Oh, Krav Maga. I just like saying it. I don't know anything. I know what it is, but I don't know any Krav Maga, but I just love saying Krav Maga. Krav Maga. I beat those people with Krav Maga. Karate, kickboxing. Good luck with mobbing on me. Right on, right on. Dark Woods was asking things like where hotels were and where the highway was. Yeah, normal things a tourist would ask. JPRPH1, poster or dartboard of Maxie. You know me all too well. My sensei, while I am not trained in all those things, Dark Woods, I had like a tiny bit of training with karate, and my sensei had a dartboard with a poster of Jane Fonda on it, and it was peppered with lots of holes, especially in the very center because he was a really good shot. And yeah, he would use her for target practice with darts and things. So PvP, it seems odd they would react to those questions that way. I've had folks ask me about hotels and highway directions. I always gave them as much helpful information as I could. Dark Woods didn't get an answer from anyone, not even the Canadian police. Everyone treated me rudely. They made rude gestures, made rude statements. When I made it to Toronto, I was happy to leave and get back to Detroit. I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that. PvP, that seems odd. You must have met some strange individuals. Anyway, I have nothing more to add. Dark Woods, it was a public square with like 30 people. They kept saying, go home, get out of here. Dark Woods, they were willing to get violent as 1 block from the Niagara Falls crossing. Gorillas, God gave us liberals because he was out of locusts. Dark Woods, there's lots of videos about Canadians being rude to Americans. Canadians are proud to do it. And to be fair, not meaning to get on to you, Dark Woods, but I don't doubt that there's videos about all kinds of people being rude to all kinds of people. It's a sad state that all too often just people are willing to be rude to each other. But I'm not meaning to poo-poo your circumstance there. It's just, it does seem to be the human condition. PvP, Gorilla Trudeau. Oh, wait. Sorry. Gorilla Trudeau gave $2 million to cricket farms, saying people should eat the bugs. We should eat the bugs. JPRPH1, we often vacationed at Niagara Falls, Toronto in the 70s. We always really enjoyed Canada back then. Dark Woods, just search Canadians being rude to tourists. Oh, I don't doubt that you're right. It's like I say, I've seen videos of Americans being rude to tourists, of Frenchmen, of Englishmen. It's just a sad state that it seems like rudeness has become more of a common thing. Enigma Severus, you have come onto the channel of Cortissimo del Fuego. Gentlemen, please check out the channel of Enigma Severus. He's got some wonderful film things, that reviews with things and movies, movie reviews. He's also got some great fan edits of some music videos, really good editing. I need to sucker him into doing some editing for me, but I doubt if I can afford him. Anyway, he also has a channel helping you to learn Spanish. So please check this gentleman out. He is good, folks. and he's also teaching your kids. So let's help the next generation of good teachers instead of pointless DEI hires. Let's support the good folks like Enigma Severus. What am I up to? I am ranting and raving about how Elizabeth Warren believes that Elon Musk is a big dodo head, and she believes he's a big dodo head because she started this CFPB program, and now Elon Musk wants to take it down, and she's saying that it's a conflict of interest, that he's working anyway, and also trying to take down her baby will leave the American public completely undefended from his vile and sinister plans. And I am about to call BS on it, but I've still got another article to go and then a video to help explain why I call BS on it. And I did get a Patreon, and I've even got followers, and like I did a watch party with them and stuff, and I'm going to try to do more stuff like that, but I'm growing very slowly, not as far as followers, but as far as capacity to give you guys value for it. But feel free to be a free member right now. I'm just trying to figure out how to make it worth y'all's time. John Bonarero is one of the paying members. I'm only pointing him out just to say that basically the paying members, which are him and one other person, Connie Cleary, I basically was like, hey, y'all want to do a watch party? So we did a watch party. I would have been happy with the free members coming on too, but I was very glad that I at least got to get them something of value for the money that they're paying. Enigma Severus. Oh, damn it. I don't know any Spanish. If I try to pronounce that, I'm just going to sound like a big dodo head. Here, I'm going to say it in my Okie twang. Mis nenes siempre me dedican eso en la clase. Hola. Why nada más? Lol. And you can get your aid at URL. Gorillas has been censored again. Enigma is just bugging. Gorillas, all I said was we didn't boo the Canadian anthem. We just beat their asses. Got it. This is Gorilla saying it. I'm just reading it off. That's what I do. I'm a big dodo head. Please check out Sci-Fi Mamby's channel. And one of these days I will update it so that there's people like Gorillas and Darkwoods and Enigma Severus, other people. Darkwoods just saying people were nicer in Mexico. So his personal experience was that Mexico was nicer. People in Mexico were nicer to him. Darkwoods loves Mexicans. As an educated American, these people had simple jobs for me, picked me up hitchhiking, took me to their houses, and fed me. Wow, that's great. That's cool to know. You know, it's just weird because it's like I say, I've heard people say, it just depends on, there's good and bad people everywhere. And I know you know that, but you happen across the bad people in Canada, and then you happen across the good people in Mexico. I wish there were more good people all over the place. Okay. Darkwoods. It was only Mexico City. Once that I was there, I was walking to downtown. Anyone in Mexico was rude or tried to steal from me. Yeah, somehow. I mean, I don't really know anything about Mexico, but that kind of makes sense somehow. Enigma Severus is laughing at my good try on reading Spanish, and he joined my Patreon. Now I need to do another watch party soon. Let me know what kind of movie y'all would like to watch. I have been thinking, just going to throw this out there, but y'all are the paying people, so let me know what you would like. I've been thinking about doing a watch party of the movie Shake Hands with the Devil. Let me know what you guys think. And then that includes the so-called non-paying members. I don't mean to get on to any of you. I've been broke as a convict before, so I'm just appreciative for what I get. And that would include Dark Woods. That would include Charlotte, the Night Star Werewolf. And I'm forgetting somebody. Gosh, I am a bad person. I almost forgot. Lady V used to be Elements. Now she goes by, what's the name of the alchemist? Onastes? Sometimes I feel like such a dork. How old was she when she was nice in Mexico? Just kidding. So sorry. Gorilla's gonna have to lurk. I'll be listening while I lather myself up. You're welcome for that image in your head. Okay. I swallowed the vomit. I'll be all right. The only Spanish you need to know is La Mirgra. Dark Woods spent 8 months altogether in Mexico. It was really advantageous. They always found some way to try to help me. They treated me with respect. That's fantastic. Gorillas is in the shower. Meanwhile, I am in the pits of hell fighting the fire demons with RFK at my side, or maybe I'm at his side. Let's be honest. I'd be his sidekick. We all know that's the case. This would, the image here would be RFK, and I would be dodo head right beside him. Somebody just sent me something. Let's see if it is. No, it's from a Nigerian prince. No, it's from. Okay. And PvP, reading your text, I understand exactly what you're saying. I don't know that I want to say too much on air about it, but I do. I hear what you're saying. I do. We all, I mean, in spite of Darkwood's personal experience in Canada, I think most of us do have a love and respect for Canada. Not to say Darkwoods doesn't. He just had a bad experience there. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. If I did, I would already be monetized. Okay, Enigma Severus. I lived in Argentina for 5 years. That's right, you did. I traveled to other countries for about 2 years. I should have made a couple better decisions, but Enigma loves the cultures. And Darkwoods, I would tell them I did computer science in America. They always asked me to do things for them. Electrical work comes easy to him, and they treated him well. They're happy that he was there. All right, I am going to read my next piece of evidence. I should have. Yeah, anyway. Could have, would have, could have, should have. So, I'm going to read part of this, and then I'm going to share part of the video that it is sourcing. This is why, in spite of all the things that I've heard from Elizabeth Warren, in spite of, I get that there is the possibility of conflicts of interest about Elon, and I don't think we should ignore that. But I'd actually known this information before, and I'd shared some of it, but I never put two and two together about Elizabeth Warren and the CFPB. I never connected the dots, and now I have. This article is basically somebody talking about Mark Andreessen on the Joe Rogan Experience, talking about the CFPB. I don't know if any of you know, but in Canada, there was a big debanking of protesting truckers. And that's a big part of the reason why I've got the stance I have. Okay, so anyway, There were stories that came out on right-wing media, and until Elon Musk took over Twitter, you would sometimes get the very occasional social media thing, but it was always either taken down or was hit with a fact check or something about some conservative had been debanked. And you'd always get this message, oh no, no one's been debanked. This is a big pile of crap. This is all false. You know, this person, that person. Mark Andreessen tells a totally different story. Now, I'm trying to remember what. I'm having too many senior moments. Mark Andreessen, and why you should listen to him. Mark Andreessen is an American businessman, investor, software engineer. What the heck was it that he started? Okay, he's co-author of Mosaic, the first widely used web browser. He's the co-founder of Netscape, co-founder and general partner of Silicon Valley venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz. He co-founded and later sold the software company Opsware to Hewlett Packard, co-founded Ning. He is an inductee in the World Wide Web Hall of Fame. So, he's been on the inside, maybe not of banking, but of big tech. So he has a little bit of idea of what's been happening that we don't necessarily know about. This week, which was November 30 of last year, just after the election, venture capitalist Mark Andreessen appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast, made explosive claims about the systematic debanking of politically disfavored firms and individuals, which we had all been told was a lie, that it wasn't happening. At the start of the clip, he fingers the CFPB, an agency created largely by Elizabeth Warren, as the culprit behind the debanking. Specifically, this is talking about crypto startups. I honestly barely care about that. There's another angle on it. A number of critics pushed back, saying that not only is such debanking not happening, but the CFPB is actually focused on ending debanking. The problem is there's several different questions being litigated here. First, what is Mark complaining about? Are his concerns valid? Second, what role, if any, does the CFPB play in the debanking of politically disfavored entities? Mark makes a few distinct and interrelated claims. He criticizes the CFPB for being a largely unaccountable, independent federal agency, which can terrorize, this is a quote, terrorize financial institutions, prevent new competition, new startups that want to compete with the big banks. So who is it really set up to protect? Is it set up to protect you and me? Or is it, like so many of these organizations, just another political arm of attacking your political opponents and protecting big banks from competition? He mentions debanking as a specific harm. He defines as when you, either as a person or your company, are literally kicked out of the banking system. Mark points out it happens via the banks as a proxy, reminiscent of the big tech censorship carried out on behalf of the government, but at arm's length. In other words, I know it's terrible that that bank closed your account and you don't have access to your money anymore, but that wasn't us. That was them. You can file this form and we'll get right on trying to get your account back. According to Mark, debanking has been happening to the crypto entrepreneurs in the last 4 years. This is now a direct quote. Has been happening to all the crypto entrepreneurs in the last 4 years. This has been happening to a lot of the fintech entrepreneurs, anybody trying to start any kind of new banking service because they're trying to protect the big banks, unquote. On top of this, Mark mentions certain politically disfavored businesses under Obama, legal marijuana, escort businesses, gun shops, and manufacturing. This was called Operation Choke Point by the Obama DOJ itself. This was followed by Choke Point 2.0, as dubbed by the crypto industry, which, according to Mark, went primarily against their political enemies and then to their disfavored tech startups. It's hit the tech world hard. We've had like 30 founders debanked in the last 4 years. Victims are quote, basically every crypto founder, every crypto startup either got debanked personally and forced out of the industry, or their company got debanked and so it couldn't keep operating, or they got prosecuted by the SEC, or they got threatened with being charged. Mark also mentions he's aware, and this is where I start to care. I do care about the big banks going after little banks, but this is where I really decide, okay, I don't even give a crap if Elon's got a conflict of interest or not. Mark makes the following claims. Debanking means being deprived of bank access as an individual or a firm, either because your industry is politically disfavored or you hold dissident political views. The CFPB is at least partially culpable, as are various other unnamed federal agencies. This works by having the regulators outsource financial repression to the banks so that the government can't be held directly responsible. Let me again paraphrase how this works. I'm an official with the CFPB, and I come to you, and you're a bank CEO. You know, you've got a pretty nice bank here. I think it would be a pretty terrible thing if something should happen, like maybe you'll get audited by the IRS, or maybe the FBI comes along, or FDIC comes along and shuts you down for a couple of days because you have happened to have some accounts that are from terrorist accounts. Oh, please, sir, I could lose billions of dollars. I could be fired. Worse than any of it, I might not get my bonus next year. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to do anything so drastic as what you usually do, as to fire people on the ground floor level and thereby preserve your precious bonus. No, all you have to do is, you see that conservative over there? You just have to make sure that he can't have access to his money, and make sure that they know that it's because they're some kind of terrorist or whatever. We'll let you come up with your own explanation, and make sure it doesn't come back to us. Capiche? The primary victims of debanking under Obama were legal, let me stress, legal, because I could understand doing this if it's illegal. You know, if it's a cocaine mob, hell yeah, debank them. If they're terrorists, debank them. If it's child porn, debank them. These were legal but disfavored industries. Weed companies, adult businesses, gun shops, firearms manufacturers. I'll admit I have little sympathy for the first two. But again, if it is a legal business, why does the government have any say in whether they have a bank account or not? And why didn't we hear about this at the time? The only person I knew talking about this stuff was Michael Savage. And back then he was savaged and called a liar because this stuff was just not happening. I remember, yeah, anyway, it is what it is. Crypto firms and entrepreneurs alongside fintechs have all been the primary victims of debanking under Biden. Conservatives also occasionally got debanked simply for their political views. 30 tech founders within the A17Z portfolio have been debanked. I'm going to play his video, and then if we want to, we'll see what critics have to say. I don't want the defense to have no defense and just me declare victory. In the meanwhile, let's also get caught up on the chat. We need to do a trip together, man. We can get Cortissimo to do a watch party on our travels. That could be interesting. Dark Woods is a wilderness guide. Let's go, Enigma. And yes, please sub to Dark Woods Presents. Pleasant PvP mainstream media is paid for by the government. Yes. They are corrupt mouthpieces of the liberals. And if nothing else, this USAID fiasco with Politico having hundreds, or not hundreds, but many subscriptions amounting to enormous amounts of money from the government, on top of funding that was so vast that when it was cut off, they allegedly could no longer pay their employees. To me, if you're getting that much money from the government, you're no longer a media outlet, you're a mouthpiece of the government. Plain and simple. PvP, they spout pro-liberal propaganda while bad-mouthing conservatives, and they do. And again, to me, that's not reporting. They're just giving an opinion. And I can hear people now, well, you do the same thing, Curtis. That's because I am a blogger. We are allowed to do that. I'm not up here on my high horse with a press pass. If I get a press pass, I'll say something different. But when you're a reporter, unless it's a labeled editorial, let me stress, labeled editorial, you don't give your opinions. You report the news. Dark Woods loves watching the news and fact-checking them. PvP, the real media in Canada, shows what's happening in small YouTube news channels. Yeah, no, it's true. I try not to share too much of it from that, but it's true. I've actually learned a lot more from small YouTube channels. Dark Woods, we could do a show. We take news and fact check it, comment on it. YouTube is full of news channels, low-hanging fruit. PvP, Rebel News is one of my favorites. They're always uncovering government BS. They also give conservatives a voice. Amen. And don't get me wrong, I don't think we should silence liberals. And I know you're not suggesting this, but I just think there should be an equal voice. I don't think that the justification that was tacitly implied that January 6th meant that it was okay to just have a liberal voice and completely denigrate the conservative voice. I think that's BS. I think it needs to be equal. I admit I'm no longer equal, but I will also say I'll be happy to go back to being equal when I see more equality somewhere else. Until then, I'm going to defend what I consider the underdog. Now, that may switch as Trump gains more power and the libs lose more power. You know, if I do honestly see something, because like I say, while I was researching this, I almost was going to make Trump finally screwed up, Elon screwed up. I'm sorry. This is bad. And then I rediscovered this. PvP, the way they crushed the Freedom Convoy was total fascism, nothing less. Declaring the Emergency Act was ridiculous. And howdy, Matt Cheatwood, hail and well met. I hope that you are recovering well. I know your animals are doing well. And welcome, welcome. We're almost done, but the long and the short is Warren Elizabeth made claims about Elon Musk. She founded the CFPB, and it turns out that the CFPB has been a major instrument for oppressing and debanking conservatives. And therefore, I have zero sympathy for CFPB being dismantled. But I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. They didn't just freeze accounts of convoy protesters. They also froze the accounts of online supporters. Yeah. And they learned it from CFPB, but my hat is off to Trudeau. He is the true master when it comes to arbitrarily and communistically and unrighteously just removing the livelihood of your political opponents. Darkwoods, there's no conflict of interest. Elon was turned down for those 2 contracts they were talking about. No more conflict of interest. Well, there you go. And again, even if you turn out to be wrong, in this case, and maybe this is wrong of me, but I just don't care. Because after I heard about people being debanked, to me, it's like, so you're really going to hop up and down about Elon having these 2 contracts when you've been using this bureau to destroy your opposition. PvP has been watching governments for years making illegal things legal. Now they want to make legal things illegal, like peaceful protests, elections, free speech. Right on. Darkwoods Enigma, drop me an email. The link is on my channel. And he says, Okies. Good one, PvP. Curtis is a blogger, not a logger. He does not use a chainsaw every day. I don't. I would look very silly trying to wield a chainsaw. I wish I was better at it. PvP's father was a logger, but he didn't wear women's clothing, though. Yeah, I do. I love that. Oh, I wish I was a girly, just like my dear papa. All right. So, I'm going to play about 8 minutes of Mark Anderson talking on the Joe Rogan Experience. But because I don't want to be dinged, even though Joe Rogan's awesome, he will ding you if you play too much of his stuff, and I get it. It's his material. But this is the source. So if you think that Joe Rogan is evil and full of crap, you may think that my summarization is full of crap. But if need be, we can do some more investigation into this. But it will be after Thursday, because Thursday I am celebrating 700 subs. So here we go on Joe Rogan. Shocked. He's shocked, I tell you. Shocked.
Is when you as either a person or your company are literally. So debanking is when you as either a person or your company are literally kicked out of the banking system.
Like they did to Kanye.
Exactly. Like they did to Kanye. My partner Ben's father has been debanked.
Really?
We had an employee
For what?
For having the wrong politics, for saying unacceptable things. Under current banking regulations, here's a great thing. Under current banking regulations, after all the reforms of the last 20 years, there's now a category called a politically exposed person. PEP. And if you are a PEP, you are required by financial regulators to kick them off of your to kick them out of your bank.
What?
You're not allowed
But
to
what
have
if you're politically on the left?
well, that's fine.
No,
because they're not politically exposed.
So no one on the left gets debanked?
Now, I have not heard of a single instance of anybody on the left getting debanked.
Can you tell me what the person that you know did, what they said that got them debanked?
Oh, well, I mean, David Horowitz is a right wing, he's pro-Trump. I mean, he said all kinds of things. He's been very anti-Islamic terrorism. He's been very worried about migration, all these things.
And they debanked him for that.
Yeah, they debanked it. So you get kicked out of your bank account. You get kicked out of you can't do credit card transactions. But by the way, you can't
How is that legal?
Well, exactly.
How is that legal? I ask you, is it? PvP, Elon has dual citizenship. Now the government is trying to strip him of his Canadian citizenship. Liberals keep getting dumber and dumber. And yes, Matt Cheatwood, we've been praying for you. We do hope that you are well. Let's see what else Mr. Anderson has to say to this Joe Rogan.
So this is the thing. And then you go in this thing of like, well, this is where the government and the companies get intertwined. Back to your fascism point, which is there's a constitutional amendment that says the government can't restrict your speech, but there's no constitutional amendment that says the government can't debank you, right? And so if they can't do the one thing, then they do the other thing, and then they don't have to debank you. They just have to put pressure on the private company banks to do it. And then the private company banks do it because they're expected to. But the government gets to say, we didn't do it. It was the private company that did it. And of course, JP Morgan can decide who they want to have as customers, of course, right? Because they're a private company. And so it's this sleight of hand that happens. So it's basically, it's a privatized sanctions regime that lets bureaucrats do to American citizens the same thing that we do to Iran.
Whoa.
Just kick you out of the financial system. And so this has been happening to all the crypto entrepreneurs in the last 4 years. This has been happening to a lot of the fintech entrepreneurs, anybody trying to start any kind of new banking service, because they're trying to protect the big banks.
Yep. They're trying to protect the big banks because, the big banks, one, pay a lot of taxes, and two, they provide a lot of large financial contributions, to be fair, often to both sides, depending on which bank you're talking about. And also, let's just face it, it's so fun to watch your political opponent squirm where they're trying to pay for an icy freeze for their date when they've actually got about $100 million in the bank, but now they can't pay for a $2 icy freeze. I'm sure that there's some catharsis there. I don't like, I have a prejudice toward overly rich people too. But here's the difference. One, I'm not able to do any of that. Two, I would think that the banks are in that same class. I mean, am I wrong? Is not the CEO of most of these banks in the same social strata as these people they're debanking? If they're not, it's because they're in a higher strata, not a lower. I ain't cool with that at all. Not at all.
And then this has been happening, by the way, also in legal fields of economic activity that they don't like. And so a lot of this started about 15 years ago with this thing called Operation Choke Point, where they decided to, as marijuana started to become legal, as prostitution started to become legal, and then guns, which there's always a fight about. Under the Obama administration, they started to debank legal marijuana businesses, escort businesses, and then gun shops, just like your gun manufacturers, and just like you're done, you're out of the banking system. And so if you're running a medical marijuana dispensary in 2012, like you, guess what? You're doing your business all in cash because you literally can't get a bank account. You can't get a Visa terminal. You can't process transactions. You can't do payroll. You can't do direct deposit. You can't get insurance. Like none of that stuff you've been sanctioned, right? None of that stuff is available. And then this administration extended that concept to apply it to tech founders.
This administration, meaning the Biden administration, because this was done 2 months ago, this administration extended it. Not the Trump administration, this administration. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that liberal?
Crypto founders, and then just generally political opponents.
Oh, and by the way, just so that I'm sure someone out there, well, they didn't do it to Doge and they didn't do it to crypto. Well, that's because that was before the Biden administration. The Biden administration was the one that was like, look, this crypto stuff, we've got to get a handle on it. Too many people are getting into the monopoly that we have on money. So we've got to stop that. So they did. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure a lot of this crypto stuff was like funding some bad stuff. I'm okay with them debanking people who are terrorists or child traffickers or drug street gangs. But just because you have different politics, no, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, so that's been like super pernicious.
I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, 100%. And this is called so it was Operation Choke Point 1.0 was 15 years ago against the pot and the guns. Choke Point 2.0 is primarily against their political enemies and then to their disfavored tech startups. And it's hit the tech world like we've had like 30 founders debanked in the last 4 years.
You ever wonder, because I know I have, why aren't there more people like LDG? Why aren't there more small tech companies? You used to hear about them all the time, the whole rags to riches thing. It's been a minute since I've heard of a really hot new tech company. And please jog my memory if I'm not remembering anything, but I used to blame that on a lack of creativity, but is it just possible that we're going to protect Google? We're going to protect other companies. We're going to protect Microsoft. We're going to protect Bill Gates. If you're a startup now, well, screw you. Go work for Bill Gates and sell him the app for a nickel on the dollar, and then go to the soup kitchen where you belong.
Really?
Yeah. It's been a big recurring pattern.
30.
This is one of the reasons why we ended up supporting Trump. It's like we can't live in this world. We can't live in a world where somebody starts a company that's a completely legal thing and then they literally like get sanctioned, right, and embargoed by the United States government through a completely unaccountable, no due process. None of this is written down. There's no rules. There's no court. There's no decision process. There's no appeal. Who do you appeal to, right? Like who do you go to get your bank account back, right?
God.
And then there's also the civil asset forfeiture side of it, which is right the other side, and that doesn't happen to us, but that happens to people in a lot of places now who get arrested, and all of a sudden, the state takes their money.
Yes,
Civil
but
asset
that happens
forfeiture.
to people if they get pulled over and they have a large amount of cash in some states.
This happened to one of Moira Kitty's relatives. Feel free to ask her about it. I'm sure, she was not happy about a certain thing that happened between one of her relatives and the police. It was exactly this that she's talking about.
Right. Or, there've been, there's well publicized examples of like, there was like, there'll be some investigation into like, safe deposit boxes. And the next thing, the feds have seized all the contents of the safe deposit boxes, and that stuff never gets returned. And so it's this, and this is when Trump says the deep state, the way we would describe it is it's administrative power. It's political power being administered, not through legislation, right? So there's no defined law that covers this. It's not through regulation, right? There's nothing you can't go sue a regulator to fix this. It's not through any kind of court judgment. It's just raw power. It's just raw administrative power. It's the government or politicians just deciding that things are going to be a certain way, and then they just apply pressure until they get it.
So what happens to those 30 tech people that
start to go into a different field, like try to do something different and try to get,
complete upending of your life.
Yeah, complete upending of your life, and try to change your life, try to get out of try to get away from the eye of Sauron. Try to get out of whatever zone got you into this and keep applying for new bank accounts at different banks and hope that at some point a bank.
So to my friend who once told me that there was more censorship from the Republican side than from the Democratic side, unless you can come up with 30 instances of liberals who have been literally debanked and have done no illegal thing whatsoever from the Trump administration, I would suggest that you may even technically be right, although I don't think so. But, you don't have to censor someone. Just take their livelihood away. And at some point, they'll say whatever you want. I've been blessed, I guess, because I'm not a big channel. And now Trump is in power. Hopefully he won't get a wild hair. The tired blogger is the most un-American thing that's ever come along because he traumatically dissed my hairline once. We've got to debunk him. I guess something insane like that could happen. But I need some receipts if we're going to say that the damage done by one side is equivalent to that done by the other in the last 20 years anyway. That's my humble opinion.
We'll say, oh, okay, it's okay. We've checked it. It's now all right.
Whoa.
But there's no.
So what do they do with their money? Like, what happens?
This is another question I have. After remembering this video, she said that we reclaimed $20 billion for taxpayers. How do we know that 20 billion went to people like you and me? How do we know that it wasn't just money arbitrarily taken from some, it might be some dumbass Republican. It might be a legitimate right, skinhead or something. But I would like to know who got their money retrieved and who was it retrieved from. I would love to see that. I don't know if Elon's listening, but if he is, this is what we need. Don't just dismantle them. Let us know who were the recipients of this 20 billion. They may have been legit. I'd kind of like it to have been legit because it would at least justify their existence if the only reason they were set up was just to debank political enemies. Then it's a freaking travesty on par with the KGB. All right.
You go to cash.
You go to cash.
You can't have a
So where do you put it?
I don't under your mattress. Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That is so insane.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if someone has $30 million in the bank and they get debanked,
Diamonds, art. Do you? I don't know. Go overseas somewhere.
Holy shit!
Yeah. It just happens. And again, it's really, really important. There's no fingerprints. Like there's no person who.
There's no stick above the strings.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It just happened, and we can trace it back because we understand exactly. We know the politicians involved, and we know how the agencies work, and we know how the pressure's applied, and we know that these banks get phone calls and so forth. And so we can loosely we understand the flow of power as it happens. But when you're on the receiving end of this, your specific instance of it, like you can't trace it back, and there's nothing you can do about it.
What are the instances? Like, what is the company? What are they trying?
I'm hoping that this shares the point where I really started to lose patience with the whole let's save this bureau
to do, and how do they run afoul?
Well, all the crypto startups in the last basically 4 years. So remember the crypto thing got like really, sort of everybody got excited and like NFTs and like all that stuff, and then it just like stopped.
Yeah.
And the reason it stopped is because basically every crypto founder, every crypto startup, they either got debanked personally and forced out of the industry, or their company got debanked and so it couldn't keep operating, or they got prosecuted, charged, or they got threatened with being charged. This is a fun twist. This is a fun little twist. The SEC sort of has been trying to kill the crypto industry under Biden, and this has been a big issue for us because we're the biggest crypto startup investor. The SEC can investigate you, they can subpoena you, they can prosecute you, they can do all these things, but they don't have to do any of those things to really damage you. All they have to do is they issue what's called a Wells notice, and the Wells notice is a notification that you may be charged at some point in the future. Like you're like on notice that you might be doing something wrong and they might be coming after you at some point in the future.
Oh my God.
Okay. So
terrifying.
No more of this. You're innocent till proven guilty. None of that. You're just guilty because we say so.
Fine. That's
Yes.
the eye.
The eye of Sauron is on you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, trying to be a company with a Wells notice doing business with anybody else.
Oh my God.
Right. Try to work with a big company. Try to get access to a bank.
Guys, I know that the SEC is investigating me, but would you mind loaning me a couple of bucks?
Try to do
So
anything.
that's when they support DEI initiatives, and
Well, and then the SEC under Biden became the SEC under Biden became a direct application of exactly. So DEI, they did a lot with that, and then ESG, all the ESG stuff, and ESG is a very malleable concept, and they piled all kinds of new requirements into that. So through this process, the SEC could basically just simply dictate what companies do, with no accountability at all. Like there are hearings where they get yelled at, but like nothing changed, nothing ever happened in a hearing that ever changed anything.
So, what do y'all think of that? PvP, don't they realize Elon's Canadian roots may give him insight into the common links our countries have? Elon could be an ally like Trump. Our government just had adults. No, I agree. And again, while I'm a Trump supporter, I'm not one of these people, Trump said the right thing when he said that if Canada could be the 51st state. And honestly, I can forgive him because I'm not Canadian, but I wonder if I could if I was. But having said that, yeah, there was no reason why Trudeau had to so vociferously pick the leftist side. I mean, I just assumed that he adamantly felt that Kamala was going to win. And then when she lost, he knew that gravy train's over. And now he's going to actually have to run the country, and he doesn't want to do that. Do not forget, Matt Cheatwood reminds us, the big banks are obedient to the government. That's right. Dark Woods, Canada and the U.S. are longtime allies. The way the government treats U.S. trade is despicable. I sincerely hope Canada either becomes more independent or integrates with the U.S. That's how he feels. PvP debanked just about does mean go live in a cardboard box. I know of one example of someone who is debanked who ended up okay because they were married to a literal billionaire. I will let you look up who that may have been. The governments protect the banks enforce the will of the government. It's a self-reinforcing loop. Exactly. Sci-Fi Sit Down, do you think you can make it on Gorilla's Cigar live stream tonight, or will you be pooped? I would love to, but I think I'm probably going to be in the chat, only because I just had a terrible bout. I don't mean to whine, but I had a terrible bout of chronic fatigue yesterday, and I hate it because I would love to be on. You guys are a hoot, but I'll be in the chat, and I'm almost done. Matt Cheatwood, big wealthy corp companies have always used the tool of supporting government regulation to suppress competition. Right on. Oh, I love this, Matt Cheatwood. I so wish and hope this happens someday, but civil forfeiture has to go. I know Rand Paul wrote about it in his book, Taking a Stand, when he had his failed presidential campaign. So I'm just saying, liberals, if you'd been supportive of Rand instead of Trump, you might have had him instead. And you may not like him, but at least he wouldn't be saying stuff about Canada being the 51st state. At least we wouldn't have had that. PvP, society goes in cycles. There are times, the 60s, 70s, 80s, where things that were booming in culture, art, music, and small business. So much ground roots creativity. Yeah, and I so want that to come back. And that's what attracted me to the internet. And sometimes I'm scared that I got in too late, but hey, I'm in the party now. So, safe deposit holders, get a wall safe. Debank yourself preemptively. Use only cash. It's probably not a terrible idea, or at least do more with cash. PvP, the global elitists just want to control everything. If they can't control it, they want to cancel it. And that just about may be the chat quote of the day. That's exactly it. If they can't control it, I mean, it's very Sauron. If you can't control it, destroy it. The money was retrieved for the government. Cops will take your ID, phone, money, your bags, even your coat. PvP, I used to think money under the mattress was silly. Now I'm thinking about it. That's why Trudeau wants a digital currency here. No cash equals digital fascism. Yeah, I am not keen on. I'm not keen on, like, even though I get why he did it, I am going to admit that Trump getting rid of the penny, even though that's all it was, it makes me nervous. It feels like a move toward that digital currency. But as long as he just stays there and he doesn't try to get rid of the nickel or the dime or whatever, I'm going to, I'm not going to say anything further on that. But it does just kind of, I don't know if I like that. And I get it. The reasoning does make sense. It costs 2.5 cents or something like that to make a penny. So I do get it. Darkwoods has had all this happen to him. They will dispose of it, not make a record of it. Yeah, the homeless aren't treated very well by a lot of people. It's true. PvP, these guys really wish they had the powers that China has. And they've come out and said it. They praised China for how they handled the corona thing, because they were almost the only country, or one of the few countries, that was more oppressive than us in the way that they handled the coif. Matt Cheatwood, they talk about the great things China does all the time in San Francisco City Hall. Gorillas, show me the man, I will show you the crime. Yeah. San Francisco wants to make certain neighborhoods passable only by permit. So, geez. Trudeau gave a speech saying he admired how China's government gets things done. PvP, I'm not a fan, and I know you're not. I know, and I understand. I'm on this issue. I'm more on your side than Trump's, but I'm not a fan of Trump's 51st state stuff. He's just giving votes to Trudeau, and that's scary. And probably I just need to shut up about it and let it pass away. But if the Liberals get reelected, Canada is done. Please, God, if you're up there listening, please let that not happen. Okay, I'm going to go back to that article and see what we think of, after listening to that video, what we think about whatever criticisms we come across. I'm oversimplifying, according to this writer. This is Nick Carter of Medium. Left libertarians are upset about Mark's comments because they feel he's co-opting the debanking narrative to suit his own ends, supporting crypto and fintech while ignoring, and I actually agree with this criticism. And it's not that he's ignoring it, but I think he should have said more about valid victims of debunking. In my particular instance, I'm talking about Republicans. But this person thinks that Palestinians getting kicked off of GoFundMe for sending money to Gaza is a legitimate thing. And I'm sure a lot of people do. I need to think about it, but I do think that just knee-jerk reacting and just arbitrarily kicking all Palestinians off of GoFundMe, that's not cool at all. But anyway, As for the mainstream left, they tend to straightforwardly support the debanking of their political enemies. They would rather just ignore the whole thing. There is a section of the left that is at least somewhat ideologically consistent, and I think most of them come to this channel. It's skeptical of corporate and state power over speech and finances. A growing cohort now that the right has reclaimed control over a few tech platforms and regained state power. And let's face it, I don't mean this to sound like a threat, but if you are one of those left-leaning people and you're listening, do you really want Trump to do to you what Biden did to us? I would even, I don't want that, because it isn't even a matter of justice. It's a matter of, let's stop oppressing people. Let's stop taking away the rights of other people. Let's be the side that does that. And I hope and pray that that's what Trump does. He may let me down, but I don't think he did in this case. They, whoever they are, have been speaking about, they have been speaking out against debanking for a while. They recognize that while dissident voices on the right have been the primary victims of debanking, Kanye, Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, this could just as easily happen to the left if the tables were turning. They more narrowly define debanking in the following way. Debanking, or some financial institutions prefer a de-risking, refers to a bank cutting ties with a customer deemed politically incorrect, extreme, dangerous, or otherwise out of bounds. This is from a TFP article. I'm going to go to it from the Free Press. Interesting. I may need to read that one, but I need to end this stream soon. Rupa Subramanya in that article talks about how banks have the power to completely ruin someone's financial life if they consider them too reputationally risky to do business with. Individuals across the political spectrum have been affected. Melania Trump, Mike Lindell, Trump himself, Christian Charities, January Sixers, and, just lest you think it's just all right-wingers, Muslim crowdfunding groups and charities. Don't think it's just happening. The left's been doing it, but they aren't just doing it to the right. Mark Melnikoff, Kapla, and glory to you and your house. And this is also a great comment. Musk needs a scalpel and not a chainsaw. I'm with you on the penny. Save your real old ones. They will become valuable as time goes along. PVP, I think it was the Bank of Canada's decision. It costs too much to make pennies. Right on, right on. I'm going to look through this Debanking of America article just real quickly. Mainly, okay, so the Free Press doesn't talk much about the right-wingers who are debanked. They talk about, who is this, by Rupa Subramanya. I don't mean to be culturally insensitive. I don't know if that's a man or a woman, and maybe it doesn't matter. But they share a story in here about a gentleman. He, what were they doing? He was born in Malaysia to a Protestant family, converted to Islam as a teenager. We're not terrorists. We're just trying to bring humanity together. Stripes banking partner Wells Fargo made the call to cut ties. The founder, a guy named Blavant, co-founded LaunchGood in 2013. Users donated 1.3 million on the site. The figure jumped to 34.4 million in December of 2018. Blavant was convinced Wells Fargo is worried about funds on LaunchGood being inadvertently sent to a terrorist organization. He acknowledges there have been concerns from some of the recipients of his funding. A 2014 audit paid for by Islamic Relief found the board did include anti-Semites. Blavant texted me, the U.S. government has repeatedly asked Israel for proof of these baseless allegations and have not been able to get any for years. So the bank or the media or somebody is saying that they were giving to terrorists, and he's saying, no, we're not. We understand we're held to a higher standard and are subject to greater scrutiny as a Muslim crowdfunding platform. So we go above and beyond not to give to terrorists. A Wells Fargo spokesman did not reply. LaunchGood has been debanked. The list of those debanked grows by the day. Melania Trump. Being debanked is a family affair for the Trumps. This includes the former president who was shut out of a Florida bank account after the January 6th. And it's not just Trump supporters. Indigenous Advance Ministries, Memphis-based charity that does work for orphans in Uganda, they were considered high risk. So, very technically, there is nothing in the Constitution saying you have a right to banking. I do think, however, that the forefathers would have assumed it, but yeah, I suppose it's true. I don't think there is anything that specifically says we have a right to our bank accounts. But we have a right to our guns. Okay, let me finish this article. Many on the left are nevertheless critical of or nonplussed by Andreessen's comments. Here are a few examples. Li Feng, the CFPB has loudly opposed debanking. Why is Andreessen saying this? Where's the evidence? Left unmentioned in this is the fact that CFPB has investigated Andreessen-backed startups. There's a huge issue in debanking. We saw anti-COVID mandate truckers losing access to bank accounts over activism. Now predatory lenders and scammers are conflating consumer protection with debanking. Jared Facundo, I have no clue what PMRAC is referring to because literally just a few months ago at a Fed Soak event, CFPB Director Chopra warned the audience of Wall Street debanking conservatives without explanation. Okay. This group represents crypto and fintech, does not consider firms in those industries valid debanking victims, certainly not on a moral par with crowdfunding platforms sending funds to Gaza. So that is the criticism. And I'll admit, he doesn't leave any links. He doesn't leave any articles. But here's the deal. I used to read those articles and then they'd disappear. Or I'd read those tweets and then they'd disappear. My question to you is, and I already know, the left's going to hear this, well, of course they disappeared because they're not true. But more and more, I suspect just as likely that the truth is deleted because it's an inconvenient truth. I don't know. I'm not saying that I've proven anything, but I do feel, on my estimation, at least a vast audit and, shall we say, a redirection of CFPB is exactly called for. And I personally don't miss it. I never got any money back from them. I've had big banks oppress me and I never got any money back. Now, maybe I should have applied, but I suspect that if I had applied, I would have heard crickets back. All right. I'm going to finish the chat. I'm going to field a question here. I was thinking about sharing one more video on an unrelated topic, but I wanted to know from you guys if you want me to continue or if you would like me to close out this stream so you can go to other streams and watch parties. So let me know fairly soon, and we'll either call it a stream once I get caught up on the chat, or I will share one last unrelated video with you. Mark Molnikoff, Canada is the canary in the coal mine right now on our doorstep. That's why I'm glad Trump won. And yeah, and again, I actually agree with you that I would prefer that Elon used a scalpel as opposed to a chainsaw. But with respect to you, I would prefer the chainsaw over let's keep throwing gold bricks off of the Titanic into the sea. Jeff B., remember when the Chinese were welding doors shut on their citizens during the coup? I do remember that. Jason Jones, God love you. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it made sense to you. Even if you don't end up agreeing with it, I hope you can at least follow the twisted logic that I'm using here. Trump killing the penny makes no sense. Boom. And Sci-Fi Sith Dan, brilliant repartee. I love this community. Penny for your thoughts. Well, Jason's thoughts are worth much more than a penny. Mine might be worth a penny. Oh, what the hell? Oh, sorry. Somebody dinged me. I'll look at that in a bit. And please let me know if you want me to continue with one more unrelated video or if you want me to call it a stream so you can go elsewhere. PvP, it's like Mr. Spock said in The Wrath of Khan about Khan's strategists. Khan's thinking two-dimensional. It's a bad way for leaders to think. Agreed. I'm going to check this. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, hold on. What is her name? Joy Reid has been canceled. It's been fired. And I wanted to share a video about that because even though it doesn't quite bear on this, I think it does bear on what's been going on in the media for the last, I'm going to say 15 years, although it seems to have really advanced per force. And now, now we're here. Jason Jones, now we have to mint more nickels, in which we lose something like 7 cents a piece. We lose more money in the end. That is something nobody discusses. That's an interesting point. I'm glad that you made it. John Paradise, how are you doing? It's John Paradise. He's looking out on my silly blog. It's John Paradise. How could you ask for more? You know, I have a hat like that, but you look better in it. PvP, you will never convince me that religion is about peace. Man, that's a difficult topic. And I've gone back and forth, and I'll probably go back and forth again about what I think about religion, but it does seem like there's a lot of preaching about peace, but a lot of living out war. Mark Molnikov, don't forget, banks debunking the firearms industry. Yes, and we barely mentioned it, but it's true. It's being pursued in the courts and by the Department of Justice. Yeah, I mean, I'm no fan of the military industrial complex, but just out and out debunking firearms industries, I don't like that at all. I really don't. PvP, the word missing from this is accountability. A bank has a right to run their business. That said, they should not be able to cut customers from access to their accounts. I would suggest that they shouldn't without either a valid court order, or preferably what I would really prefer is until and unless someone is convicted in a court of law, and then it's ordered by the court of law that convicted the person, then I'm okay with it. But otherwise, no, hell to the no. Look, it may not be in the Constitution, but one of the founding principles, it's in the Declaration of Independence, even more seminal than the Constitution, is we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Originally, when help an old man out, when Thomas Jefferson wrote that, it was life, liberty, and a right to property. And it was later changed because the founding fathers all felt like that it would sell the document better if it was the pursuit of happiness. But that's basically what the pursuit of happiness means. You have a right to the money that you've earned. You have a right to do what you want as long as it's not, completely illegal with the money that you've earned. That's your pursuit of happiness in this country. And without it, while I'm not a laissez-faire capitalist, at the same time, if you don't have that right, you are not in America. You're in something totally else. Any chance the truckers will launch a lawsuit against the bank? I would love that. Gorillas has got to go. A couple songs before the cigar lounge. Yeah, and I'm thinking, okay, so the video, I guess I didn't say it very well, or maybe you'd asked this earlier. It's a video about the firing of the television commentator. I'm not going to call her a reporter, but Joy Reid from MSNBC was fired the other day. And I have a video that I think is wonderful. If we don't play it now, I'm frankly just going to play it later on my celebratory stream. But I kind of have a wish to play it now. But I will be ruled by 2 or 3 suggestions in here. Kapla, Mark Malikoff, glory to you and your house. Squeeze as much time out as possible, I say, for your hours. That's true. I'm 95 watch hours away from monetization. PvP, nobody cares about nickels. More folks love their pickles. I'm a fan of Don Rickles. And now my silly song is done. I feel like I should know that song. Oh, Kapla, hail to you and your glory to you and your house, Space Fraggle. They cut Medicare, Medicaid, and SNAP. YouTubers are not getting as many super chats. Let's see what the internet says about that, because I have not heard that, and I hear that every friggin' time there's a Republican president. Medicaid and SNAP. All right. Fact check. Let's see what Newsweek says. With respect to you, sir, according to Newsweek, this is false. After House Republicans shared a new budget proposal this week, some Democrats began sounding the alarm that Medicaid funding could be significantly impacted by proposed cuts. Nearly 80 million Americans benefit from that program. The Republican Party has been looking to pass spending cuts as a way to extend tax cuts. A prior advisor to the Biden-Harris White House has spread information online saying the new budget resolution would slash Medicaid by at least $880 billion. The claim, Bobby Kogan, the senior director of federal budget policy at American Progress, who previously served in the Biden-Harris White House as advisor to the director of the OMB, shared his concerns about the Republicans' new budget resolution online. Kogan said the budget would cut Medicaid funding by at least $880 billion in a widely shared post on Twitter. For energy and commerce, it's mathematically impossible to achieve $880 billion in savings if you don't cut Medicaid and Medicare. There's not enough money they have jurisdiction over, Kogan wrote on the social media platform. Republicans say they're not cutting Medicare, so that means they're cutting Medicaid. Former Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi retweeted Kogan's claims, saying Medicaid would be on the chopping block. Republicans are putting Medicaid and SNAP on the chopping block in order to reward their billionaire donors and big corporations with tax breaks. Here are the facts. The budget resolution does not ever explicitly state there will be an $880 billion cut to Medicaid. House Republicans are enabling the Energy and Commerce Committee to decide what exact programs and areas would be cut under the budget. While the Energy and Commerce Committee oversees Medicaid funding, it is also in charge of energy and climate programs, the Federal Communications Commission, food and drug safety, several other programs. All those areas could also be on the chopping block to make up the budget cuts House Republicans are looking for. The federal government spent nearly $1.5 trillion on healthcare in fiscal year 2022, with Medicare taking up $747 billion, Medicaid and the Child Health Insurance Program costing $609 billion. Due to those high costs, it could prove difficult to meet the budget's proposed cuts without making changes to Medicaid. However, as the budget proposal currently stands, House Republicans are not calling for $880 billion in cuts specifically to Medicaid. Altogether, the budget asks for $2 trillion less spending in mandatory programs. Medicaid currently makes up around 10% of all federal spending. So Newsweek rules this false. Despite Kogan's assertion that House Republicans are looking to cut $880 billion from Medicaid, the budget resolution does not ever specifically outline cuts to Medicaid in that account. Instead, it proposes to cut target for the Energy and Commerce Committee to oversee across their many programs. So basically, it's just, again, with respect to you, sir, it's Nancy Pelosi and Biden administration people claiming that the Republicans are going to do that. It's a standard party tactic. Typically, it works. But often there's no facts behind it. You got to remember, even if the Republicans have won so much, they realize that cutting those things, unless it's just so drastically necessary, like a war is going on, like a real, like World War III kind of war, making any cuts to those would be political suicide, and they all know it. So again, I mean to be respectful to you, but I do not believe that that is so. Jason Jones banking might have to be considered a right, or at least like a utility. Right on. PvP, got to head out, need a few pizza slices, then over to Gorillas. Thanks, it was fun. Well, I am going to call it a stream. I kind of want to go on with the other thing, but I kind of get the feeling that people want to go to some other streams, and I am also getting a little bit tired. So hopefully this was informative. Hopefully it was somewhat entertaining, and hopefully it wasn't too over the top. Maybe it was. But, all right. Let's call it a stream. Hail, Connie Cleary. Thank you for showing up and for your kind comment. Darkwood Presents. Thank you very much for showing up and for your kind comments. I'm going to rush this, so hopefully it's just understood. Go to the creators. Give them support. I want to give you guys some time to watch some of these watch parties. Firefly is going on at Gorilla's Censored Thoughts. I would love to be there for that. John Ponerero, Sci-Fi Sith Dan. Thank you for being here and for your kind comments. Gorilla's Censored Thoughts. Thank you for your presence and your kind comments, even if they do get censored. Big Al Presents. Thank you for your presence and for your kind comments, and also for your great movie reviews. So many good people here. Jeff B, thank you for coming and for your kind comments. PVP, Pleasant Valley Picker of Canada, thank you for showing up and for your kind comments. I'll probably see you in the chat soon. LDG at Free the Net, give this gentleman some love, please. He is developing an app, and I am excited about it. I am hoping that we get to free the net from the oppressors. He has great news this week, so check him out. Tim, Red Rum. Nope, he's a dodo head. He's a doo-doo head. Suzanne, hello and welcome. Good to see you here. I hope that you had a decent time on the channel. I'm kind of like Rush Limbaugh, only I don't do drugs. I'm just sorry. Enigma Severus, hail and well met. Wonderful content creator, wonderful human being, great teacher. He's out in the thick of the battle trying to get knowledge into our kids' skulls. And I'm sure it's easy. Easy job. Everybody knows it's an easy job. Matt Cheatwood, thank you very much. Hail and well met. Thanks for your comments. I hope you are recovering well. I hope I don't miss anybody. There's just so many wonderful people here. Don't miss anybody. Don't miss anybody. Don't miss anybody. Don't miss anybody. Please check out Sci-Fi Mommy's channel. One of these days, I'm going to get Stream Elements to advertise for more of you. Mark Molnikov, Kapla. Got to tell you guys, this guy's, in my heart, a kind of celebrity. He was the weapons master for the play, The Klingon Christmas Carol. It sounds cheesy, but it was so cool. It was so cool. I don't know how the heck you'd get your hands on it, but you need to, especially you, Jason Jones. You who have the heart of a samurai, you would do well to learn the lessons of the Klingon Christmas Carol. mint more nickels and we'll lose more money today. John Paradise, thank you for coming on here. Thank you for the links that you've shared before and for your kind comments. And Space Fraggle, I hope that I didn't poo-poo you too much. I do think it's legitimate. You've got to be able to come on here and make, there's got to be the opposition. It's got to be there. So hopefully I didn't wasn't too mean or anything. And you may be right. They may end up cutting it in spite of what Newsweek says, and there would be less money for super chats. But then that would just be my wonderful timing. I'm always the person with great timing. Jason Jones, banking might have to be considered a right. Yeah, we need to do something. PvP's got to head out and get pizza. Jason Jones, kapla! Glory to you and your house. I'm getting to where I say that to more people than I know. So I'm going to call it a stream, but it has been said that life is pain, and anyone trying to tell you otherwise is trying to sell you something. I am, in fact, trying to sell you something. I'm trying to sell you on the idea that we will invade hell and we will wrest my soul back from them. No, sorry. I'm trying to sell you on the idea that you are, in fact, smart enough and wise enough, virtuous enough to run your own life. You do not need big governments or big corporations to tell you how to run your life. And lastly of all, I know it often feels otherwise, but I want you to know you're not going insane. You're going sane in a world gone mad. I hope God blesses each and every one of you, whether you agree with me or not, whether you think the same, whether you voted for Trump or Kamala. I hope God blesses all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Spoon!